Yo, Dre, I got something to say. It's December 2020, the year of the virus. Um, Virus dominates the news. I want to talk about something that should be in the news, and that's Casey Goodson. This this virus has changed a lot of things. One thing it hasn't changed is the number of times police are killing black people. Police are killing black humans. Police are killing humans. They just seem to kill a lot more black humans, and across the board in our criminal and justice system, blacks are affected, persons of color. Um, let's talk about what we do know about Casey Goodson. Casey Goodson was a 23-year-old kid, um, a real good kid. Every person spoken out about Casey just being a wonderful person. As people are often talking about the past when they're justifying police killings, we're not going to talk about how wonderful he was or any of that. We'll talk about what we know. We know that he went to the dentist. We know that he was coming home with Subway sandwiches to give to his 5-year-old brother and his grandmother. We know that his grandmother called 911 after finding Casey and saying that her grandson had been shot. You hear the little brother of him screaming. We know that Casey should be alive. Let me tell you more about it. The statements by the police, the statements by the investigations, everything's changed. Nothing's clear. It is clear that things have changed a lot. It was reported initially that there was a Jason Meade, who's the man who murdered Casey, is a U.S. Marshal, a deputy for the U.S. Marshals, not with the Columbus Police Department. And it was said that Casey, they were on a manhunt for violent fugitives, and they have made it clear that Casey was not the person they were looking for. But police initially said that Casey drove by as they were taking off their bulletproof vests and all that, and Casey drove by waving a gun at the police. Casey's family said this is not at all like Casey's character. He had his conceal and carry license, and you don't get those with a criminal record. But, waving your gun, whenever I drive by an assload of cops, that's exactly what people do, huh? You like to wave a gun at an assload of cops, especially young black men wave guns at cops. That's fucking ridiculous. Come on. So their initial statement was that, and then a week later, after being more questioned on, so which cops did he wave guns at? They kind of retract that a little bit, and nothing's real clear there, because you know what else we know is that the only cop that pursued Casey is this plainclothes Jason Meade, who is the man who shot Casey. We also know that Jason Meade was involved in another fatal shooting in 2018. Some things never change. And, boy, another thing that never changes is the police statements. He was shot walking into his home. Their initial statement was that Casey pointed a gun at the officer, and the officer demanded Casey to drop the weapon. He didn't, and then he was shot. His grandmother and 5-year-old little brother home dispute that. They said that Casey was carrying a bag of Subway sandwiches. He was coming home from the dentist, And in the other hand, he had a face mask. Due to the pandemic, people are wearing face masks. Um, they said that a gun was recovered at the scene, and that's another statement that they backed off of a little bit. He has his concealed and carry weapon license, but it's not clear where this gun was found. Obviously, it probably wasn't found close to Casey, or he wasn't pointing. Uh, Investigators said that they had interviewed Jason Meade, and then once the investigation changed hands, investigators later admitted that they had not questioned Officer Meade, and the only thing we have from Officer Meade is a statement from his attorney that says that, like I said earlier, Casey pointed a gun at the officer. Officer then asked him to drop his weapon. Most of the time I see him going ahead and shooting them when they do that, but regardless, and when he didn't, he shot him. Let me say that this statement is used repeatedly, over and over and over by police, and it never, let's go with rarely, never ends up being the case. Like I said earlier, trusting the police, just in this investigation, the stories have changed many times. If black person, or if I change stories in a homicide investigation, I think I'd be probably locked up in jail. Mr. Meade's not. The FBI has now taken over the investigation. He was walking into his home. Jeez, that makes me think of Breonna Taylor was in her home when the police barged into her house and shot her. Botham Jean, killed by Amber Geiger, off-duty policeman. Similar to this, Jason Meade was off-duty in plain clothes when he shot him. Amber Geiger walked into Botham Jean's house. He's playing Nintendo. You know what the police statement after that shooting was? Their initial statement was that a gram of marijuana was found in his kitchen. Police, let me tell you, FTP. Regardless, they retracted the fact that they'd interviewed him. Still haven't talked to him. That kid should be alive. He's a good looking kid. 23 years old. 23. Well, with a concealed and carry license, it gets a little tricky. Although I thought from the police, the concealed and carry people were the good guys. You're looking for the good guy with the gun, right? Kyle Rittenhouse was given water by the police, waved on through after some people had been shot. White kid, got the same lawyers that Donald Trump has now. Black people with guns have never really been treated like the good guy with the gun. And that's a shame. So let's see, with a right to carry, Second Amendment, I'm sure the NRA, let me tell you what they said. They said the same thing they said after Philando Castile was killed in Minneapolis. Philando Castile was the driver in a car that was pulled over for a traffic violation, reported traffic violation, told the police that he had his conceal and carry license and that there was a gun in the car. Police didn't really react and asked him if they could see the license. He said, yeah, let me grab my license. Bam, bam, bam! Police killed him. Well, the NRA said the same thing then that they said after the Casey Goodson. Absolutely fucking nothing. They don't have this guy's back. They don't seem to support the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms when it comes to black people. Now, these white people out threatening to kidnap the governor of Michigan for stay-at-home and mask orders, going down capitals with all these guns and everything are treated much, much differently. Um, anyway, I think it's important that we remember that Black Lives Matter. Just because you're not hearing about black people getting killed by the police doesn't mean it's stopped. There's a problem. There's a problem with policing in America. There's a problem with excessively funding police. Oh, speaking of funding, they just got $2.5 million because the Columbus police are now going to start requiring that they carry body cams. There were no body cams. So this officer seems to be the only witness that has not been interviewed as far as a homicide investigation. The autopsy came out and refuted the police's initial report that it was justified and called it a homicide. Then they retract that, and the Columbus Police Department started backing off of that. Wanted to make it clear that he wasn't a member of the Columbus Police Department. He was with the U.S. Marshals. And after the autopsy showed that he had been shot multiple times, gosh, how many black people need to get shot in the back? And we hear these same old stories. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Let's say his name. Let's bring awareness to this. Let's bring attention. Let's demand justice. Jason Meade should be in jail right now, awaiting trial for murder. We also know, speaking of how these things could happen, in Columbus, Ohio, reports released by the police say that black people are pulled over 84 times more than white people. 84. Man. No justice, no peace. We must demand fundamental changes in the way we police in America. Our criminal injustice system must be gutted, tore down, along with the prisons. If you like bringing attention to Casey Goodson and excessively funding the police, please subscribe to my channel. Please like the video, even though I hope none of us like the content of the video. And yo, Dre, I got something to say.